We better get the show on the
We
road.
better get this show on the road.
All right, to the live streamers.
All right, sit down, shut up.
Good job.
Are you bad cop today?
Yes, I'll teach your voice on. Welcome to Morning Startup, everybody. My name is Scott Glue.
And I'm Erin Clark.
We're startup founders. We do this because, we like to meet other startup founders, learn what you're doing, learn from each other. That's why we started Morning Startup 13 years ago. So welcome. Hopefully you're all in that space. You're either starting a business or you're out there on your own trying to, cobble together enough motivation to get up in the morning and make a living. So welcome. We've got a great speaker for you today. We've got Kay Foss.
We sure do.
The title of the talk is...
you can't win... This is a good test, isn't it? You can't win if you're unwell? Yes, I passed.
Looking forward to it. So we often put on talks, growth marketing and founder journeys and all of that sort of stuff. But we haven't had a talk like this in a while. It's a really, really important topic. We all need to be in a good headspace to keep getting up in the morning. I nearly called in tired today, I have to say. But, okay, first of all, we like to do shameless plugs and announcements. So this is your opportunity if you'd like to stand up and give a quick 30-second plug about what you're working on, who you are, why you're here, anything you like. If you're looking for a co-founder, or who would like to go first?
Who's first?
One more thing, just hold the mic, so we are live streaming as well, and just got a little thing on there for the live streamers.
Awesome, excellent. Hi, I'm Russell from Pod2. We're a podcast hosting radio syndication platform that helps creators reach more diverse audience and get real statistics. I'm here just to see what it is, see what today's all about, and I thought what an interesting keynote. So, that's me. Who's next?
Fantastic. Patrick.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Patrick Green. I'm from TechOn. I just wanted to take a croaky moment to clear up a little misunderstanding from the last morning startup. It was said, TechOn has left us for Sydney, whatever. I get it. We may not be the coffee sponsor anymore, but to be clear, we're still very much here in Perth and Western Australia. Yes, we're expanding into Sydney. That's what good businesses do. But we haven't packed up and left. So I'm still here, still involved, still very much supporting and growing the local ecosystem. If you're working on something cool or want to know more about TechOn, come and say hi. And Morning Startup, we still love you.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick. That's why Dave's not here today. We fired him. All right. Go on down the back. That wasn't no. What's going on? Okay, you're up.
I do stuff on LinkedIn and I can sell your product and that's it.
Brilliant.
I love it. How good's a pitch?
All right.
Who's next?
Excellent.
G'day, I'm David. I grew and sold a donut business called Topped Up Donuts, which some of you guys might know. I know these towels like the back of my hand because I was always scurrying around delivering big boxes of doughies. I sold that business to a larger company a couple of years ago. Since then, I've been doing a lot of copywriting. Last year I did over 1,000 hours perfecting my AI copywriting workflow. So if you want to know more about that, I've also been coaching anything that moves. So I've been coaching some of WA's best independent F&B businesses because I'm in that food space. And I've also picked up a couple of athletes in the high performance space. So I was keen to hear the talk this morning. Yep, that's me.
Wow, fantastic.
Donuts and high performance. I love it.
And copywriting, AI copywriting.
I love how founders are an eclectic bunch. They just pick up the best skills.
Absolutely.
Any more?
I'm certainly keen on the AI copywriting. Any more shameless plugs? Come on. Brilliant.
Thanks, Erin. Hello all, I'm Carrie. I'm a freelance consultant. I help businesses build products and services. So Erin I've met and I'm really pleased to be here for the first time. So I'm really just trying to make new connections. So if anyone wants to grab me after, give me a shout.
She's got some lovely stories from the UK, so please make sure that you bail her up over a donut or a coffee.
Very cool. On that, we'll have half an hour of networking and chats at the end of this, so you all get a chance to meet each other. Last chance for a shameless plug.
Do we want Glenn's while we're here?
Oh, we got one more shameless plug. Oh, we'll do a Glenn section.
Hello, everyone. This is Kamal. I'm a mechatronic engineer, so I became an entrepreneur after not getting a job like in the mechatronics field. So I do 3D printing, Guy plus 3dprinting.com, Guy plus drone.com, and Guy plus 3D scanning, Guy plus home automations. And recently I realized that I can't do it on my own, everything. So I'm looking for active collaborations who is interested in this field. And yeah, I'm happy to network who is keen on that field. Thank you.
All right. Fantastic. What's next?
What is next?
I'll tell you. So, Founder Sundowner, first Wednesday of every month. Get along to other side of nowhere. Come along for a drink and meet other founders. Not everyone is a morning person. So yeah, that's on every Wednesday. Sorry. First Wednesday of every month. Wake up, Scott. This is a event that's coming up, hosted by Venture HQ. If anyone's got their phone, wants to scan it, if they're in the investor or interested in becoming an angel investor or just investing in startups generally, either now or in the future, they're doing a bit of a masterclass on how to get into it. So head to Eventbrite and search for masterclass Venture HQ or something and you'll find it.
All right, live stream. Hello to everyone on the live stream. So if you are not always a fan of getting out of bed, know that the live stream is available, filmed by the lovely people at perthvideo.com.au. Look at that. So if you need wonderful video, rain, hail or shine, Perth Video here supporting us as well.
Cool. Just going to turn down one of these mics. It's buzzing away. Well, we'll see how we go. Subscribe to the Weird Growth Podcast. Thank you, Ammo Marketing. They've been helping us out for a long time. So if you need some help growing your startup and hitting the accelerator, they really know what they're talking about. So hit up the guys at Ammo Marketing. But at the very least, open your podcast player and subscribe to Weird Growth. They've got some really good interviews with startup founders in Perth.
Look at this. It's like a well-oiled machine, Glenn.
I'll save the walk.
30-second Glenn update.
All right.
What's Beecham Group all about and what are you up to?
Okay, so I've got to do a quick tip for you and then I'll do the quick hack. All right, so two quick, related to referencing, so people ask me about referencing, whether or not it's worthwhile doing it when you're hiring. Two quick tips for you. One, when you're interviewing a candidate, ask for the candidate's referees during your interview. Step two, don't do a phone call reference check. Do it as a video conference reference check call, or ideally do it face-to-face and grab a coffee. The reason being is you're not looking for what the person's telling you or saying, my apologies, you're looking for the tells, right? So the tells are the little subtle signals that the person's telling you about that person, and don't can it. So like remembering referencing is a really important part to understand about that person and the value they can add to your business, particularly around their achievements and what they do and how they solve problems, right? So that's tip one. The other thing, obviously, what we're doing now is a lot of people obviously are getting a number of applications for jobs that they're advertising themselves, which is fine. That's actually a really good thing in the process to go through. The important thing to realise is be cognizant of the fact that sometimes people's skills and experience might be a little more elevated than what you've seen in the past, particularly in an AI and ChatGPT world that we live in at the moment. Okay, so your application rates will be going through the roof. You'll also find the information contained in those applications and resumes will not be as you would ideally expect them to be.
Woohoo! All right.
And yes, so as you can see on the slide, he was going to do a little shameless pitch, wasn't he?
Well,
that was your shameless pitch. That guy knows about IT recruitment.
Yeah, if you need to hire people, Glenn knows his stuff. That's right. He's a very knowledgeable man.
That was your pitch.
And he's so
social proof.
He also tells me
proof.
what my parents are up to, because he lives around the corner from them, so that's always handy. All right.
Your mum's having a hip operation, and you make sure you need to go and call her. So.
Oh, shit, is she? Okay, all right.
That's a village, by the way. If you hadn't worked it out, like 3 years of separation, it is insane.
Awesome. I did know about the hip thing, by the way. I'm not that bad a son.
Third-party logistics, I can take this one.
Cool.
So if you've got an online business and your spare room's getting full of a whole pile of stuff and you don't want to be able to ship it yourself, check out Keep Space. They've got a whole pile of solutions for people who sell products online.
Thank you. And I think Jesse said he was going to be here today. You might be wandering in later on. So if you are in the e-commerce space and need to chat about warehousing and anything like that, hit him up. Hopefully he pops in soon. Purpose Ventures. They're our new coffee sponsor. Who's got a coffee courtesy of Venture Purpose Ventures? Woo! Awesome. Thank you, Purpose. I need way more of it. If you haven't heard of Purpose Ventures before, who hasn't heard of Purpose Ventures? Okay, there's a few of you in the audience. So they are WA's only official venture capitalist organisation. So if you're looking to raise money, there are a few others that are some degree of VC. So there's ways to raise money, but I know the people at Purpose Ventures have the vehicle and everything sorted. So get around them. They can help you with your funding if you're a VC type organisation. That's not the best pitch. I need to work on that.
No, I think if you're a founder who's ready for funding, I think that's the important part. If you're ready for funding, Purpose Ventures is ready for you.
That's right. Derek, Kylie, give me a blurb. I need to sort that out. Okay, and thank you to this amazing place from Space Cubes. They got 3 places down the road. Here's Dave. I thought we fired you. God. Startup News, make sure you're subscribed. I haven't actually seen a lot of content coming out from Startup News lately.
No, but we've seen Startup WA very busy. Lots of stuff coming into the election. Go team.
Yeah, Startup WA, make sure you're a member. There are sort of lobby government people to tell the government what startups need in WA.
And +8, we'll hear from next fortnight.
Yes, I've got a slide for that and everything. QR code, if you're into it, there's a whole bunch of programs to help entrepreneurs do cool stuff from all sectors. So if you scan that, you'll go into there's a little chatbot co-pilot thing. You can say, hey, I'm an ag tech startup or something, and they'll point you in the right direction. So it's a handy resource. Sorry. Did everyone get that? Here's another QR code. Join our Slack group. We want to have Perth's awesome Slack group so that in between morning startup sessions, you can actually chat with other founders, ask questions, get all the help that you need. So slack.morningstartup.com and you will come and have a chat. Or contact us. We're always looking for cool speakers. I think we're booked up until July at the moment, so you've got a little bit of headspace to sort of think about a talk that you might want to do, and love to hear from you. All right, this is coming up in 2 weeks' time.
It sure is.
+8 is on again for 2025.
So if you're a founder who's not ready for funding, this is for you. So if you've got a cool idea, this is definitely a space. So if you've got an idea and exactly what it says on the tin, you're ready to accelerate, this is a program for you. So come along next fortnight and find all about what makes a good application to get into +8.
Yes, looking forward to it. Okay, and that is formalities out of the way. Thank you very much. Yes.
I feel like you should take a bow.
That's the best response I've had for a while on that one. Okay, you can't win if you're unwell. I will switch the slide deck and let you do that.
Fantastic. Super excited to have Kay along today. So quite a different shift of gears. So normally, for those who are new to Morning Startup, we usually have either startup founders sharing their adventures, or we have different technical specialists coming in and talking about topics that are relevant for founders. Super excited to have Kay along today, because one of the things that I find as a startup founder is behind closed doors, this is like one of the things that we talk about most. So over wine, over coffees, whatever it is, this is the topic that we often don't talk about and should be more. So really excited to see this one and hope that we'll all walk away with something practical. So over to Kay.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Oh, maybe not.
No.
There we go.
Now. Okay. Just check the mic's working. I've got my phone here so I don't talk over time because I love talking about this stuff. Is this working? Yes, great. Good morning, everyone, and thank you to Scott and Erin for having me. I've been to Morning Startup probably a dozen times over the last 12 months or so. And it's a great way to meet people, a great way to get together and start an early morning of startup chat. I come from a background of mental health and wellbeing. I have a Bachelor of Applied Science in Human Movement and Psychology, a postgrad in Counselling and Human Services, and another postgrad in Career Counselling for Elite Performers. This is where I started my career in psychosocial rehab. Worked in that for 5 years, working with people with psychiatric illness and trying to look at ways to manage their psychosocial issues and then get back into the workplace. I left that and moved into elite sport. I come from a family of professional athletes. I'm not one of those. I'm the one that decided to work with them because I'd grown up in that environment. This is where I worked. I had offices, or not offices, I worked in each one of those buildings there with cricket in the MCG, Institute of Sports there. I worked with the Melbourne Victory Football Club in our first 2 seasons, which we won at the Amy Stadium. I don't know what it's called now. As you can see, I'm from Victoria originally, but now called Perth home. Olympic athletes and then also professional athletes, and then with dancers at the Australian Ballet and around the country. So I've got a bit of a good exposure to different elite performers across the space. So then I met my husband, and he is originally a farmer and now what I call a serial entrepreneur. We have 4 different companies, and that's taken us around the globe. We were growing crops in 3 continents, producing products in 7 countries, and selling into 32 countries around the world. So I had a first baby, decided to scale globally, raised funds out of the US and moved to New York City, and then had a family in the middle of all of that. Why founder families? I always ask founders that I work with, why this and why now? So it's not just my why, but it's my why this and my why now. When we came to Perth, there's not as many sporting teams on this side of the coast as there are on the other, so it's difficult. So I had to think, how am I going to find my way in here? And after working in our companies for the previous years and raising a family, I decided to launch Founder Families. The idea came to me about transitioning everything I'd done in my career to date into working with founders, having lived with this serial founder here and raised a family together to that point. I was sitting in the car with John and I was thinking, who's my next client group going to be? There's only a couple of football teams, 1 cricket team, female, male, etc. And we're driving along and we're just talking about something, work, and it was a Sunday afternoon. It was a nice drive, he's still talking about work. And I looked at him and I thought, I think you're it. I think you are my new client group. And as I started to think about planning for founder families and working with founders and their families on creating environments that bringing in all the high performance information that I knew and bringing those into founders and their families, I was thinking about a time when we went to the US and raised the capital. John had been home 96 nights that year. The rest of the time I was home with the children of my own. I was thinking, this isn't isolated. This is happening all over the world. Startup founders, entrepreneurs, exited founders going through grief of the exit, losing their identity once the business had been sold, etc. And I thought about the time when we were raising the funds, and there was a diligence process. It went for months. It went for 4 or 5 months. They spent $500,000 on the diligence on our business and my husband, including key man risk. So that's a big investment, right? And a lot of time and money. Guess how many questions they asked me as the other half owner of that share in that company? 0. You're on it. Not 1. Right? Absolute flight risk. I had a 2-year-old. That one there's about 4 there. She was 2. And I was pregnant with twins, moving to the other side of the world with no support. So I could have got up, left, and then asked for my part of all of that on the way out. So it's something I don't think people think about too much, because we're so busy trying to build, we're so busy trying to get cash from somewhere. I don't know who's thinking about this, so I decided I'd be the one to do that. So that was my background. So this is what we know about founder mental health and wellbeing. This isn't here to scare you. It's to make you feel comfortable if you're feeling it. You're not alone, and there are people and places to help. So this was done by Startup Snapshot, which is a research organisation, and they looked at founder mental health and wellbeing. So 72% of founders report mental health impact from running their business. It's pretty high, right? 81% not open about their stress, fears or challenges with anyone. So that 81% won't talk about it with anyone, maybe behind closed doors, as Erin said. Of those that do speak up, 76 speak to their spouse who may not have the skills or perspective to help. I had the skills and perspective to help, and it's still very, very hard. Only 23% seek professional help, 76% feel a sense of loneliness. That's probably loneliness, and the lack of connection is probably one of the things I hear most when I run workshops or work one-on-one. People feel lonely, and you think, wow, you're building something amazing. How does that happen? It just does, because you go into yourself. And with all the information we know about how good exercise is for us, 47% of us exercise less after than before founding their company, and the percentage of hours sleep declines as the value of capital raised increases. So the more pressure, so with capital comes pressure, they want that back times maybe 10 or more. And only 10% of founders feel comfortable to talk about that stress with their investors, which needs to change. And I'm on a journey to try and help do that through being the first ambassador in Australia to the Founder Mental Health Pledge that's come out of Silicon Valley. And I might talk a little bit about that at the end if I get some time. So what we're seeing, though, over the last 12 to 18 months, is a little bit of change, which is great, some positive progress. So this organisation, Balderton Capital, have started a wellbeing and performance platform for all of their founders, and it's incredible. If you go onto their website, the first thing in their about is not about how much money they raise or how much money they deploy. It's about their wellbeing and performance platform, and they talk about that. So they're owning it, they're upfront about it, and they're taking it seriously. So in the 10% of people, 10% of founders who speak about their stress with their funders, these guys did research to their founders and speaking directly to them about stress and how that affects them. And so 88% said excessive stress causes bad decision making, 64% negatively impacts performance, and 83% believe constant high pressure can lead to burnout. So that's amazing that these founders, only 10% of the last study suggested they would speak to their funders. These guys have got the magic touch and have been able to survey their founders directly and find out this awesome information. Now, there's a couple of examples close to home. So I've been talking about this stuff for about 18 months, 2 years here in Perth, and we've got some really good examples close to home. I did and it's good to do those shameless plugs, because I did one of those here last year, and then I was invited to come to the Innovator of the Year Accelerator program. It was the first one we did on founder mental health and wellbeing. That is part of JITSI and funded by the New Industries Fund. So it was a big change to that program, which was really awesome. A couple of others. Ventured at UWA, had me come and talk about founder mental health. So I just wanted to call out publicly these people who are starting to make a change. And who else have I got here? We Are Emerson, run by Megan Borrello. She's had me out talking to the female founders. And also one more, Curtin Accelerate. So at the moment I'm doing a 6-part series on founder focused or founder first at their Accelerate program over the next 6 weeks, which is great. So there's some change. So
I'm advocating a founder-centred approach, which when you're the founder, you need to do that for yourself. So you need to put your oxygen mask on first. If that's not on, if you're not looking after yourself and you burn out, who replaces you for those days and months that you may not be okay? Got a co-founder? Some people, maybe they go down too. So it's really important. Get your oxygen mask on. Understand that founding your company is not who you are, it's what you do. Don't lose who you are on the way as you go into this. Don't lose that through the journey. Really, really, really important. There's a thing called athlete identity foreclosure, and that's when athletes identify solely as that life role. We see it in dancers, and I've seen it in founders too. It creates an issue of not gaining any esteem from anything outside of that role. So what I'm advocating for is that you don't lose sight of your other life roles and spend some time in those things and identify those things so that you can gain esteem from other areas. Okay, the high performance effect. I just wanted to highlight this for you all. Researchers at Kellogg, you can read that there. The Institute of Management at Northwestern looked at a 7.5 metre radius around elite performers working, and at a technology firm, results revealed that working in close proximity to high performers increased the co-worker performance by 15%. That research was also backed up by a study at MIT. So the spillover from that particular study estimated an extra $1 million in additional annual profits from working close to elite performers or high performers. Conversely, working next to underperformers had a negative impact. So I wanted to put this up here to highlight the importance of environment, and the environment that we're in and who we're around and who we're spending time with. So being in environments like this, it can be really valuable because it's full of people who are looking to do something similar, may have done it before and coming back with their knowledge and coaching skills, which is amazing. People who are running, who are giving back, founders who are giving back. And it's really important as you start to hire people into your businesses to seek out that. And there was some good advice about referees from, I forgot your name already, I'm sorry. Glenn, good advice about recruitment. So seeking out those high performers who can come into your business at scale. Sometimes it's grab anyone who'll fit with their bum on a seat. So really think about that when you're running hard. Take the time to look for the right people. And then build a personal or business high performance structure around you and your team. I'm just going to check my notes. I'm still into paper. So what most leave to chance we can control. And that's the difference between a high performer and just the rest of us who aren't looking at that. So it's really important to think about that. We can have some success slogging it out, right? As a beginner, beginners do that. They go in, they go hard, and then often go home. But those that stay, think about their environment, think about the people that are around them, and find ways to not burn themselves out. And that is in your control, right? There's a lot that's not starting a business and growing it and scaling it and taking overseas. There's a whole lot that's not in your control, but about the things around you and about you, you can control that. So, this is a great quote. Goals without plans are just a wish. Right? See lots of head nodding. Really important to think about that. And what I want to talk about is outcome goals and then process goals. Does everyone know the difference between those? Yeah, so outcome is what you're trying to achieve, and the process goals are how you're going to get there. In the model I developed for founder families, based on all my experience, I have something that ruminates in my head. Where am I now? Where do I want to be? What are the steps to get there? And that can be said over and over and over again, from small decisions to the big decision to the reason why you decided to start this business. The good thing about process goals is every time, because they're small and they're bite-sized, and every time you achieve one, you get a little dopamine hit. Feel-good hit. And it's like, oh, good, okay, I feel good about that. I can go and try and do another one of those that's on my list. Okay. This is a picture of a start. Just like a startup. And you can see the environment. We've got a couple of coaches here. I'm part of an organisation, or part of a group called the High Performance Circle. It's based out of the US, and it's people who have been involved in high performance sport, coaching for entrepreneurs, etc. from around the world. We get together and we talk about what's the latest thing, what can we do, how can we make ourselves better to serve the people that we work with better, etc. It's really cool. And I get to meet or hear, speak some really awesome people. And this is one of them. This man here, yelling, or encouraging maybe, his name is Brent Callaway. And he's a strength and speed coach. And he has a business where he has got 500 athletes to the NFL draft. Right? So if we think about this as a start, and we're thinking about outcome goals, right? So I don't know who the athlete is. I cut their head off so that no one asked me who it was, because I didn't know. But outcome goal for this guy, let's just assume it is to make the draft. But then you go, oh, maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it's to get drafted. You go, well, maybe that's not his outcome goal. It is to get to the Super Bowl, play in a Super Bowl. But maybe it's not that. Maybe it's to win a Super Bowl, right? How many years is involved in that goal? And if you think about what you're trying to do from your start, how many years is involved in that? So let's just assume it's to get to the draft, and that's Brent's job, to help him get there. So they'll be working together. You've got another coach behind him there. So that's the environment that this guy has decided to pay this guy and this guy here to come in and do that. Now, does anyone know how the NFL draft works? So there's, I think, 4 different stages. So you can be drafted in round 1, 2, 3 and 4. And at each of those, there's a difference of millions of dollars just to go into the draft at that level. It's like a guaranteed payment, and then the others. So this start has millions and millions of dollars possibly attached to it, which is really, look, it's a lot of pressure, right? His outcome goals before that might have been make the local team, make the national team. I'm trying to get into the combine. I think this photo is when he's trying to get into the combine. To then be invited to the draft. Here, Brent was talking about they were trying to shave 1 millisecond off his time at a time to get to the NFL draft, right? That's a process goal, a millisecond, right? So if you think about all the milliseconds we get distracted, do other things, worry about things rather than flip it and look for someone to help us, worry about that with us or for us, etc. It's full on, right? Elite performance in sport is full on, but we can learn heaps from it. I'm just going to have a quick drink of water. Does anyone else get excited about that stuff, or is that just me? Yeah, it's so cool. What we can do with our bodies, our brains, with the right environment. So, engineering our environments is what I want to talk a bit about today. We are in control of that. Might not control where we get money, how we get money, how the business is going to go in the next 2, 3, 4 years, every single minute of the day, but we can control what's going on around us. And there's 35,000 reasons why we should. Does anyone know what that is? What those 35,000 reasons are? I'm going to tell you. Because we make 35,000 unconscious decisions a day. And they are impacted by our environment. The environment that's been put on us, the environment that we've created for ourselves, the people, the culture, the spaces we inhabit. 35,000, and they're happening. Some of them are the ones we want in there because we've created good habits and we've set up an environment that we like, and others might be there that we don't realise, but we need to spend some time looking at them. The best in the world engineer their environment for success constantly, as we just spoke about. And this is the type of team they have around them. It's a lot. There's so much there. We don't have to have all of that, but we could pick a few. Maybe a coach, maybe our friend down here who sold the donut company could be one. Maybe I could be one. Pastoral care, career counselling, performance psychology, player development, media training, family, community. So this is the environment that they get access to, and the amateur athletes that haven't quite got there yet might start to do some of that. So I'd like you to have a look at that, maybe have a think about that. Is there anyone there that you've already got, right? Physical training, physical performance, like physios, massage. You know, do you have access to a GP? Have you got one of those on speed dial? Have you ever looked at getting a referral to a psychologist for a wellness check? In the US, when I lived there, we had, what's it called? Well visits. Every year you had to go to your doctor and have a well visit. And it was just a talk, maybe do a blood test and actually have a look. Rather than have this as a crisis response, let's have it as something that we've got access to. So, habits can fall by chance or they can form by choice. So you can look and make an assessment of yourself or get someone to help you do that and think about your habits and think about things that we can change. The most successful of us build positive, growth-focused environments around us. You can see unpredictable environments trigger stress responses, as we spoke about before. 80-something% of founders know that that stress response is going to lead toward them making bad decisions. Consistency in creating good habits breeds confidence, it increases predictability and builds trust. Self-talk. So everything you've done to date that you're moving maybe away from or sideways from or using everything to create a business, all the success in that hasn't gone, and we need to use positive self-talk to bring that in. So I do it all the time. That photo of all those wonderful stadiums, and I'm not hanging around in those anymore. I don't get to walk into the MCG and say, hey cricketers, let's go talk. I lost all of that when I left that. But I look back to that and I gain esteem from it. So even if I'm having imposter syndrome one day walking into a big meeting, saying, okay, you've done this, you've walked into the MCG, you've had a room of athletes staring at you while you're saying, let's talk about values. And they all go, You know, I've done that, so you need to find that. Everyone's very quiet. Is this all making sense? And focus on the process, not just the outcome. I've met with founders who told me they've started their business because they want to get a jet, through to those who started their business because they want to make an impact. That's all there, and it's all there, and it's no different here than the US, the UK, all over the world. It's all the same. Everybody comes to this with a different outcome goal, but I'm going to, and I put it here on purpose to remind myself to say again, don't forget process goals. They're nice bite-sized chunks. And focus. Focus, this is one of my biggest hacks. Focus in the age of distraction. So, 90% of workers have reported that phones are their number one distraction. Would everyone in here agree with that? 100%, I think. I did something recently Or my kids do. They get on my phone and they fiddle around with it and all the apps move around. Instagram got moved to the 3rd page. Guess how long it took me to notice? Anyone? 3 weeks. Just forgot it was there because it wasn't in my face, right? And the reason I did, because my sister lives overseas and she's texting me going, why aren't you answering any of my messages? Because that's how we message. 3 weeks it took me because I moved it. App developers tell you get mine on the 1st page because then you'll use it. I'm telling you to take the distractions onto the 4th page, 5th page. I've got 5 or 6 pages. I don't know why. They said my kids do it. Take it away. Move it away from you. Use Do Not Disturb. Does everyone have the phones with the Do Not Disturb? It's new, I think, recently, like the last year or 2. Use it. You're having a meeting, you're about to write a good email, you're about to call someone, or you just need 3 hours, put Do Not Disturb on. But set an alarm to turn it off, because sometimes you forget to do that and then you miss important things. I spent probably, 4 or 5 times testing that definitely when Do Not Disturb is on, your alarms will still go off, so it does work. Because I thought if Do Not Disturb meant a hard no, and I was never going to get a call, I was never going to get distracted, but it doesn't, so your alarm will go off, so use that. And studies in habit change show us that small manipulations can lead to new behaviours. So move the TV remote out of the room. Maybe you'll watch less TV or not just turn it on for background noise. Gym clothes left by the door, tennis racket, dog lead, whatever your thing is. Create the environment where you'll see it, think about it, maybe I'll pick that up, and have it ready the night before. Some of those automatic decisions, unconscious decisions that we make, if we don't need to have any time doing that, get it out, have it ready, know what you need for the morning and take it. Don't be chasing around looking for it in the morning. And sleep hygiene. Consistent time to rest and rise, and don't have your devices in the room. And if you need it for an alarm, just have it a bit further away than right by your bed, so you have to get up and get it. How am I going for time? Okay. And this is how we prevent burnout and amplify wellbeing and good mental health. This is a short list, it's a really long list. Happy to go through more of it with people, but these are probably some of my favourites. So to avoid founder identity foreclosure, we need to prioritise our essential needs. So if you're not looking at sleep and rest and recovery cycles, etc., if you're not getting more than 7 hours sleep in a row overnight, studies are showing that people are having negative impacts on mood, including depressive symptoms. So really try for that one. That one, nutrition and hydration. I put a hydration in there because people forget about it. Our brain at about, I'm going to say our age, I'm almost 50, so you'll be up and down from that, 75% is water, right? Who's guilty of not hydrating? Yeah? My mouth's really dry at the moment, and I don't know if that's a message, but I drink a lot of water. I probably drink 3 litres a day. Drink. Get a water bottle, use a recycled bottle, don't forget to hydrate. Exercise and movement. I worked with a founder recently who was an elite performer and said, I can't just go for a short run because I'm used to the big outcome, right? I'm in the Olympics and I spent 4 years training for that. And I said, well, what can we do? I don't know. So we came up with a mantra, best I can today. 10 minutes is better than nothing. 1-2 second changes in a speed is better than not going at all. So absolutely 100% movement and exercise. And restoration through exposure to nature. I skipped over that, but I shouldn't. That is still one of the number one positive things to do for mental health and wellbeing is to get out, take your shoes off, put your feet actually in the dirt and touch the grass, or go for a swim, touch nature, be part of nature. My mum is a hippie, and she used to hug trees, and I can't believe I'm actually talking about this sort of stuff. She goes, go and hug a tree, love, you'll feel better. It's real, right? So I have thanked my mum over the last few years about that. Hug a tree if that's your thing. Social connection, right? We said before we're lonely, we're isolated. We can, here's an idea. We can mix things. We can go for a walk with someone else and talk. And there's 3 things we're getting covered. A little bit of exercise, we're getting some social connection, we're getting things off our chest, right? So how do we bundle these process goals together? And then set boundaries for work and life, relationships, no-go zones. What I'm not going to give up. That I'm going to have this, I'm going to put a ring around this and only spend time between 6 and 8 at night. I tried this for years. 6 and 8 at night, come home, be around the kids. We lived in an apartment in downtown Manhattan, and if the kids were nearly asleep and John would come home and then they'd all get roused up again. So I used to ask him to ring me from downstairs, and if he wasn't in the cut-off, he had to stay downstairs or go somewhere else, but he wasn't allowed in the house. And then build and know how to access your personal resources toolkit, which is what a coach does. Helps you understand that, helps you look, helps you pick which things you're going to put into your toolkit and take away with you. I think I'm nearly at the end. So, thank you for having me. I thought I would just mention quickly about the Founder Mental Health Pledge. Since the Silicon Valley Bank crash, a group of founders got together to say, what are we going to do about this crisis? Because there was a lot of crisis for people. And they got together and started a pledge for both individuals and organisations to sign. Excuse me. Especially investors in their ability to be able to fund the support services like what I provide. And then just recently, last year, we also launched a Founder Mental Health Clause that can go into a term sheet. And what that is saying that the investment in a founder's wellbeing and mental health is a good business decision, and not only is it, we not only think it's essential, but we encourage you to do that, and that goes in the term sheet to enable that a portion of the funds can be used on a founder's mental health and wellbeing. It's a really exciting project, started from grassroots out of Silicon Valley, as I said, and I'm the only ambassador at the moment here in Australia. So if anyone's got any questions about that or anything else, please reach out.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kay. That was awesome. We've got time for a few questions. Has anyone got any questions that they want to ask of Kay? Scott? Oh, one down here.
Thanks, Kay. I just have a question. How difficult was it switching from athletes to founders? What was the process? Was it pretty much the same or very different?
It's a really good question. And someone asked me this when I went from working with people, managing psychosis, to athletes. And look, it's the human condition, right? So it's not that different. I think certainly founders who may not have been involved in something elite before may not see themselves as elite. And even if you're not elite, you don't have to tell anyone, you can just act it, right? And so I think what's really important is, and one of the things that I have to do is actually lift people up to say you're going into an environment where you actually need all these, whether you call yourself elite or not, you can have that journey for yourself internally, but you can't do this. Like, it's not a joke when I say you can't win if you're not well. The business will not thrive if you're not okay. And I can say that. This is the first client group, so it's a really good question again. This is the first time I worked with a client group where I have the lived experience. So I didn't have a psychiatric illness. I'm not an elite athlete, even though a lot of people keep asking me if I was a dancer, and I said, I've got 2 left feet when they see those photos. But I do live this life, day to day. I leave the house to go and do my thing, and there's someone on the phone talking about capital and moving things from one side of the world to the other, etc. So I live this life. So for me, it feels like home. So maybe it hasn't been as difficult. Yeah.
I run 4 businesses. So one question I have is basically, how do you manage your time? Because I'm quite busy.
Yes.
So what would be a good advice? Because you said, I'm glad your husband is a serial entrepreneur, so am I.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that time effectively so you don't waste time?
Waste time, yeah.
Yes.
So some of those really basic things about blocking out distractions, also thinking about what's due when, right? And putting time around it, checking in morning and night. What needs to be done today for that? And then when that one's done, that has to go. You have to train your brain to be able to say, that's not what we're working on right now. I'm working on this, and allow those things to have time for each. Yeah. But also, if you're, and I must have taken it out, and I forgot to say it, but if you can re-engineer the environment for the next business that you're about to work on and the next, and take a brain break. They teach this stuff at primary school, right? Brain breaks. We stop doing the stuff that we're taught when we're little kids, and it doesn't change, right? Take the brain break. Say, okay, I'm now physically... Some people change their clothes. Doctors who take their coats off when they go from one, and we used to do that. It was part of how to manage our own mental health as practitioners in the rehabilitation space, is to take off the clothes that you were wearing while you were working on that really hard, deep stuff. Right? Put on something new. Go to a new environment. Sit in a new chair. Yeah? And change your environment for each one. Without a specific, do they all intertwine? That they would be my suggestions.
All right, another one.
Hey, I really enjoyed that talk. Thank you. It's so interesting. My question really is about working with founders. I've worked in lots of startups, and I'll be blunt, like some of the behaviour working with these people, you can see that they're always on, they need a break, and I guess maybe their expectation of other people is that they're always on because they are. Yes. I'm just wondering how you navigate gently guiding somebody into that kind of all of this amazing stuff that I think everybody needs to be able to function properly.
It's a really good question. And modelling helps that. So the way you respond in your emails, I'm unavailable between that hour and that hour, but I will be able to look at it then, right? And so if we start modelling that type of behaviour, I think that helps, and especially in our communication and the way we communicate. It is very hard as a bystander who isn't seen as someone who maybe could offer that advice, but also from a counselling perspective, in a way that we would do that would be say, I'm wondering whether you've considered. Yeah, so it's just about framing it right. I think I'm wondering, I work for myself too. I've been really exhausted this week. You seem a little, off might be the wrong word, but you seem a little different today. Is there anything, anything, So modelling, reframing, and I guess I'm wondering whether is a really good statement that we were taught at grad school. I'm wondering whether you'd been thinking this or feeling that, or Does that make sense? Does that help? Yeah.
All right, we've got time for one last question.
Firstly, thank you for your talk. I'm curious about the sleep time, because you said 7 hours. Now, I deal with people in the US, UK, like all over the world.
Yes.
Time zones are a nightmare, let's be honest.
Yes.
Getting 7 hours sometimes is a bit tough. What's your advice around managing different time zones?
That's a really hard one, and we're in the same boat. We have offices in the UK and US and here, and our head office is in Melbourne. So there's a lot of time zones there. Sometimes you just got to do it, right? I get that. But how can you find time for rest and recovery that, I don't know if I said it, but rest and recovery, sleep is essential, and that's the gold star. Don't beat yourself up if it's less here and there because it has to fit in with the work. But don't discount things like getting into nature, going for a slow walk. That can be considered rest, right? As long as you're away from the environment, it's a change in environment, trigger the brain. This is a different space, and I'm not going to be doing that part right now of sitting. I'm imagining everyone in front of their computers. It's not healthy, right? And actually taking that little break is going to give you more energy to go that next step than before. So yeah, there are times you can't. You just have to do it. 20-hour days was the average of my husband during our times with twin babies. And that was a lot. So I get it. And I get that sometimes it just has to happen. But the more we can move towards... How much would you sleep now on an average night? 4. Okay, so could we have a process goal of 4.5? 5, right? You don't have to jump into this stuff. You don't win a marathon by... You can't win a marathon just by getting out there on your first day and running it and then, here we go, I won. So small steps, consistent steps. Consistency breeds confidence and it breeds outcome. So small steps. Yeah, but I don't have a magic wand to give you another hour. If I get one more email that says, would you like another hour in your day? I go, wow, you can go from 24 to 25? Amazing.
Awesome. Any final questions before we wrap up? All right, yep.
Great questions, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. I'd like to ask who inspires you, or a book that you love to give to people, or a podcast you listen to. Like, where do you get your buzz for the information that you have?
That's a good question. I still have 3 young kids, so my time for those things is limited. Sorry?
Dr. Seuss.
Do you know what? I read a book years ago called The Celestine Prophecy. Has anyone read that? Yeah. And it was so hard and really confusing at points to read because I wasn't used to reading this sort of philosophical book. Has anybody read it? Yeah, and it talks about control dramas and how that's how we live our life in these different control dramas, and that everybody who you meet, and if you continue to meet them multiple times in the street, you might run into them, you might see the same person on the bus on the way to work every day, they've got a message for you. Right? So I lived that since then. If I see the same person a couple of times, I think, is it something that they're wearing? Is it something that have they got some message for me? Should I be looking at the way they are? Or do I need to go and introduce myself? So the Celestine Prophecy, I'm not going to say it's an easy read, but it's only a small book. But that was something that changed my life for the better. And these control dramas about how people put their drama on you and how you can flick it. Yeah.
Very philosophical. So another round of applause. Thank you so much, Kay.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
As we know, founders love a chat. So we've got this space until 9 o'clock. So feel free to pop down to Joey Zozar's. It's like a tongue twister, isn't it? For a coffee. Say that you're there from Morning Startup with our new coffee sponsor, Purpose Ventures. But big shout out to TechOn, who are still here in Perth. They're not leaving us, they're growing. So feel free to give Patrick a hug and tell him that it's not a goodbye. And what I'm padding for, which you've probably worked out, is Scott brings up the slide, which is what we've got coming up next fortnight, just a reminder.
Yeah, unveiling the Plus 8 2025 Accelerator. Come along and hear how to put in a successful application. And big thanks to Jessie, who is now here at the back from Keep Space. We have 2 boxes of food. Please go and help yourself. That's all courtesy of that fine gentleman in the white shirt. If you have any questions about warehousing, e-commerce, all that sort of stuff, 3PL, Jesse's your man. Go and have a chat. But thank you so much for coming along, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.